In this lecture, we'll talk about web design basics. We'll talk about identifying our target audience, how to design billboards, the principles of visual design, text, color, and graphics, navigation, wireframes and page layout, and responsive design. During this video, I'll ask you to stop and do certain exercises. So when I ask you to do an exercise, please stop and do the exercise. Don't keep watching the video. You'll get more out of the lecture if you stop and do the exercise. Also, those exercises, if you're taking this course, will be part of your homework, so it'll help you to get a head start on your homework as well. So one of the most important aspects to take into account as you go to design your website is your target audience. You do not want to start designing a website without knowing who your target audience is. Now this class won't focus a lot on discovering your target audience and marketing your page to the target audience. This class focuses more on the technical skills to create a really good web page. But as you create a web page, you should keep into account your target audience. You should know their age, the gender, where they work, what hobbies they have, their political and religious views, who their friends and families are, and technical concerns like what browser they have, what operating system they have, do they have a Windows PC or a Mac. And you should, as you gather all this information, you can kind of have it help you create a persona. And a persona is a fictional character that would come and visit your website. So you could go ahead and kind of create a fictional character and describe their background, who their friends are, where they work, what kind of education they have, and what their political and religious views are, and so on and so on. And then as you create this persona, you could kind of live a day in their life, where you could kind of pretend to be them and think about when they visit your website and what they want to do when they're on your website. Are they there to get information? Are they there to be entertained? Are they there because they have to be there for a homework assignment? Something like that. And then you could pretend to be that person, and after you designed your website, you could see if your website is really usable for the purpose that they came to your website. It's a tool that a lot of companies and people use to develop a nice user-friendly website. As an example of target audiences, we'll go to BYU Hawaii's homepage. And BYU Hawaii designed this website for 3 basic user groups. One are students that are already here. The second one is faculty and staff that work here. And the third is prospective students, or students that would want to come back. Now there are some other people that they designed this website for, but we can tell that they designed this website for those people. Up here, these links are mostly for students and faculty that are here on campus. And as you hover over them, academics, there's a lot of information here and links where students would go to find out certain information, like when classes start, when their final exam is, and where they can get academic advisement and so on. And so they even have a students here with a bunch of information for students. And these links up here are also for students and faculty that are on campus right now. And the other group is prospective students, and this bar down here probably has a lot of information for prospective students, or students that would want to come here. Of course, they have admissions. You can take a tour. It talks about the honor code, athletics, and any questions that you might have. Also job placement, so if you're trying to find a college that has a good job placement, you can find out information about it from here. So you can tell they designed this site for those 3 target audiences. So I'll snap my fingers and we'll look at one other page. And this is NASA, the space agency for the United States of America. And as you can tell, this is designed for the public, for educators, for students, and for media. And they even know that the main reason people might come here is just curiosity about space. So they just kind of have some news articles here. Not a lot of links, more pictures and stories on their page instead of a whole bunch of links. So this is another example of designing for their target audience. I want you to do a little exercise before we move on. I want you to shop for a new laptop on a site that you're pretty unfamiliar with, hopefully a site that you've never visited before, so you can use a search engine to find that site. And then once you found the site, try to find a laptop that is the best price or the best features. If you don't want to shop for a laptop, you can shop for something else, but again, go to a site that you're pretty unfamiliar with, that you haven't visited very often. And once you're done, then we'll pause the video, and once you're done, then you can resume the video. Okay, so I'm shopping for laptops right here. So before you make sure you've finished shopping for laptops before you move beyond this point. Hopefully you've found a good laptop and something that maybe if you had the money you'd like to buy. But as a follow-up to the exercise, now I want you to go back to the website that you went to find that laptop, and I want you to kind of retrace your steps. Find out what links you clicked on and why you chose those links. What things did you not notice on the page? What links were there that you didn't even look at? Or what things, that pictures or images were there that maybe you didn't notice before? Were there large elements of text that you didn't even read? You might want to read those now. Where did you spend most of your time? Like what elements were you clicking on? Where was your mouse hovering over while you're shopping for the laptop? And then what things were helpful, and what things were confusing on the website. So go ahead and pause this video and write a few of those things down. And your answers to these you'll have to submit as part of your assignment if you're taking the class. So go ahead and take a few minutes and answer all of these questions, and this will be part of your submission for watching this video. Now, as part of this video, I want you to read a reading assignment that's on the web, and I've also uploaded this into Canvas so that you can download it if you can't get on the web. This is chapter 2 of the book called Don't Make Me Think. Now, this is a book that you might want to buy if you're going to do a lot of web page development or website design. It really will really help you design really good web pages. So go ahead and read chapter 2 of how we really use the web, and make sure you read that before you continue the video. And part of the quiz on this video, if you're taking this class, will include questions on this chapter that you've read. Here's the URL right here if you want to find it, and also there should be in Canvas that hosts this course, there should be a download that you can download this web page and view it from your own machine if you can't find it online. So now that you've read that web page and you know that we should be designing billboards and not web pages with a lot of text on them, at least for most web pages, let's go ahead and learn how we can design really good billboards. And with that, we should focus on the principles of visual design. That's repetition, contrast, proximity, and alignment. So repetition means that elements that are the same should look the same, and so that means if we have navigation links, all the navigation links should probably look the same. That way the user can know, hey, those are navigation links. Another thing that can help draw the user's attention is contrast. For the most important text, it should have a high contrast so that the user can focus their attention on that. And there's some other techniques that we can do to focus the user's attention as well. Proximity. You probably want your navigation links all together. You don't want them spread across the page. And another thing with proximity is you probably want your most important stuff at the top of your page. Most users will not scroll down, so you only have that top of your page to catch your users' attention and keep them there. If you're going to put important stuff that's not going to be on the page when it first loads and they have to scroll down to see it, most likely 75% of your users will not scroll down and see it. And the last principle of visual design is alignment, and that you can align things on the same side, or put things kind of together and align them together, and it helps the user focus and know where they are on the web page. So let's go ahead and look at a web page to see these different principles. So let's look at those principles here on Amazon.com. This is a really good website to look at that shows some good usability features. Amazon makes a lot of money off of their website, so they have a lot of people really working on it to make sure it works the way they want to, and that users are using it the way that they want them to. So there's a lot of research that goes into this. Now, as you can tell, let's first look at the principle of repetition. Right down here, down the side, if you notice, all of these links look and act exactly the same right here. So this is where they can put a lot of links to a lot of different products on their page. and they all look and act the same. So this is what they want to highlight to the customer to be able to navigate are these things right here. And so this is through repetition. And then also up here, we also have some more repetition. These links up here all look the same. So these are different sections of the website you can go to. And so that's a good way to help the user keep things and know that things are the same. Is that navigation links all look the same as well. Next, let's look at contrast. And some contrast is done through white space, and Amazon.com is not afraid to include some white space. So you can, when you first visit this page, you can easily tell that they're trying to highlight their Kindle Fire right here. And so they have this separated from the other elements, so it does kind of stand out. They also kind of use a shadow background to make it kind of stick up from the page. And it also has a lot of contrast. If you look at this, this is a kind of a whitish background, a beige whitish background, and they have the black Kindle Fires. That really draws the customer's attention. So through this contrast, that draws the customer's attention. And another thing that has a lot of contrast that's going to try to pull your eyes in is this ad right here. It's red on a white background, really sticks out right here. Another thing that's really highlighted is, of course, all of this stuff is up at the top. If you notice, I have not scrolled down this page, but another thing that's really highlighted right here is their search bar. This is probably the most popular feature on their website, and you can they have a little bit of contrast here, so that it kind of sticks out. And look at this button. With that, this button really sticks out and says, "Please click on me." So that's through the use of contrast right there. Another thing is proximity. If you notice, all of these links are grouped together. All of these links are grouped together, the different departments that they have. And then some of the more other features, the kind of more user features where to sign in and your account, your cart, and stuff like that, are also all really close together. And things that are different have space between them. As I said before, they've used this space to kind of highlight this section right here. They also have space around this search bar as well. So there are the principles of proximity, contrast, and repetition. And you also have alignment as well. All of these things are aligned together, so they're all horizontally or vertically aligned to help things stick out. So those are the 4 principles of visual design. Next, let's talk about text, color, and graphics. So the text, for the most part, should be very readable. So that goes with choosing the correct colors for your text. It's not really smart to put a red text on a blue background or something like that. You should have high contrast between your text. And the most important text should be the biggest. The color scheme should also be used to help highlight the important elements and make the text readable. So what I mean by highlight the important elements, there should be a high contrast between the important text and its backgrounds. That way the text sticks out. For less important things that still need to be on the site, you should use a smaller text and less contrast between them. That way they could kind of fade away and not be too intrusive on the web page, and it helps highlight the more important elements that have the higher contrast. And also with graphics and multimedia, you really need to make sure that you only use graphics where you absolutely need to. I've seen many web pages and they have this video that they put on their web page right on the home page, and they probably spent a lot of time making that video, and most users don't even bother to watch it. So the only time you want a video up is when you know that the user will want to watch it. You don't want to spend a lot of time making videos that are going to be ignored. And flash elements can be very distracting and really hard on the eyes for people. That's with things flashing around and moving and stuff like that. It's probably not a good idea to have a lot of things moving around. You want your web page to load and kind of have things stay the same. And so pictures can be used, and they should be used at the appropriate places, but make sure you don't go overboard with this. Your full page shouldn't be covered with pictures, and you probably, if you're going to use a picture as a background or something, it really needs to be in the appropriate place, and also make sure that you can still read the text, because if you have too many pictures in the background, it's really going to be hard for the user to concentrate on your page. And all those things will just make the user leave your page sooner rather than later, and they might not buy a product from you and other stuff. So that's text, color, and graphics. So let's see this on Amazon's page. So here's the Amazon page. So you can tell what they really want to stick out are the things that have high contrast. So this black on beige, it's pretty high contrast. It's not as high as you can get. And black on white actually sticks out quite a lot too. So I think if you come look at this page, the most important elements that you see are, first of all, this go button. Of course, this right here is an ad that they probably want you to click on. So the go button is kind of has a contrast. It sticks out from the rest of the page. You have this text, and you also have these things over here. Those are the first things that stick out on the page. Now let's look at things that are maybe less important on the page, but they still need to be there. Right here you have this kind of gray text. There's less contrast and it's smaller. If you notice, these links are smaller than these links over here. So most likely users would want to click in here. They probably want you to sign in so they can know who you are and know what to offer for you as well. So these are kind of, you can tell these are more important than these right here. And the contrast is higher than these and these right here. So, and if you also notice, look at the pictures here. Of course, they need to show a picture of the Kindle Fire, but they don't overwhelm you with a lot of pictures. There's not a lot of pictures over here. There's no pictures in the background and stuff. They only have pictures to highlight products. So that's a good use of pictures as well. Now, with navigation, there are two main purposes of navigation, and one is to help the user find the information that he wants to find. And the second thing is to help the user know where he is in your website and know what else you have to offer. And if the user feels like they know where they are in your website, then that can kind of help reassure them and help them find the things that they want to offer. And so with your navigation can consist of your main navigation, and those are going to be the main different things that you'll highlight. And you have a navigation, and these might be subsections, and then the final thing will be breadcrumbs. And I'll show you what breadcrumbs are. So let's go back to Amazon, and now that we're on Amazon.com, right here we have some navigation stuff right here. And if you notice, they try to limit the number of navigations. Now Amazon sells a lot. I'd almost say this is way too many navigation links right here. But they do organize it really well. They have them divided into sections, so when you highlight over this and you can see more, so that way you don't have to see all of the links that they provide. So that if you do have a lot of links, you definitely want to kind of organize them and categorize them and put them in categories. But as you can tell up here, maybe these are where the main navigations are. The main things that you'll want to do is either search for a product, sign into your account, and then maybe shop or go to your wish list or something. So that's the navigation, and you could have sub-navigation. This site doesn't really have a sub-navigation, but if we go ahead and start searching for stuff or start clicking on the Kindle Fire right here, you should know where you are in your website. So certain things that can help you know where you are. Well, right here they kind of highlight this Kindle store right here in this search thing, so that's a little clue to help you find it. And then you also have this sub navigation right here. So your shop by department now is kind of hidden underneath there, and you're in the Kindle department, and now you kind of have all of these sub navigation links. So this is a good sub navigation link. So let's go ahead and look at navigations on other sites. So I'm going to snap my finger for another site. So now I'm on Apple.com's website that makes pictures for you. As you can tell, there's not a lot of text on this web page. Apple is famous for using very little text, and so they do have this kind of sliding thing for different things, but all they have are these main navigation links up here. So that gives you a good idea what they have on this site. So we can look at maybe the iPod right here. And so here's a thing that they've done is they've highlighted this link, and that's a clue for the user to know that he's in this section right here. So that's iPod right there, and If we click on Mac, then we can know that we're in a Mac section, the Mac section. And maybe if we click on MacBook Pro right here, we have that. And now we have some sub navigation that comes up. If you notice, this is hidden until I click on that. And that way it doesn't confuse me as I'm trying to navigate this site. So this is another good example of some navigation. So I'll snap my fingers one more time so that we can show you some breadcrumbs. So now I've gone to Dell.com, and this might have been a site that you went to buy a laptop, but just to show you the breadcrumbs right here, here is the home, and then we clicked on shop. I clicked on shop for PCs and accessories, and then I did laptops and notebooks right here. So these are just kind of the links that now these aren't necessarily the links that I clicked on to get this to this page, but this shows me this easiest path from their home page to the current page I'm currently on. So breadcrumbs are a nice way to kind of highlight to the user what else you have. So if I were shopping for laptops and I go, gee, I wonder what else they have besides laptops, I can click up a link, and then we can see that they have laptops and desktops and other stuff as well. So then I can click on desktops, and now we're in desktops right there. And then I can go back all the way to their home page and start over. So those are breadcrumbs. Now before you start creating your web page, one thing that you might want to do is create a wireframe for your web page. And this is a wireframe right here. We just drawn boxes around all of our different sections. So we have our branding and navigation section up here. We might have a sub-navigation. Here's our main area, our main content area, and our footer. So they're just boxes that you draw on a web page, and this is called a wireframe. And so as you create web pages, you can kind of draw out your main wireframe, and from there you can even start drawing in your links and stuff, and maybe some of your content. And this can be a rough guide to help you design how your web page should look. So these are wireframes, and it's definitely a tool that you'll want to make use when you go to design a web page. And in fact, before you get too far along, and if you design the web page for someone else, you can kind of draw up this wireframe and say, would you kind of like your web page to look like this, where you have the navigation at the top and sub-navigation on the side, and this kind of stuff in the footer and stuff. That way you can draw it out and communicate really well with the person that wants the web page before you spend a lot of time creating a web page that they might not like. So the last thing that we want to talk about is responsive design. So mobile devices are becoming really popular, and mobile devices don't have as much room. Either mobile devices are cell phones or iPads or tablet computers, and if you want to design a website that will work on a mobile device, then you'll want to have a responsive design. So this is a website that does really well with responsive design. On the desktop, you can see it has lots of different links up here. As I decrease the width of this right here, watch what happens to certain stuff. And as you can tell, all the navigation links got hidden, and there's just a button up here that can pull up and down. So this works better on mobile devices, and as you decrease the size of your browsing window, then you can tell that the web page kind of automatically responds to a smaller web page. So that's responsive design right there. And so one thing to keep in mind when you're designing a website is knowing your users, and knowing if your users are going to come to your website using a mobile device. So you have options here. You can either create a desktop version of your site and then a mobile version of your site, or you can create one version of your site and have it respond to the different sizes of the screen. And that's called responsive design.